Okay, so short film Balcony, directed by Toby Fell-Holden, starring Charlotte Beaumont and Genevieve Dunne, set on a council estate with some tower blocks where Charlotte Beaumont's character becomes obsessed with an Egyptian family living on one of the upper floors that she can see only really through the balcony, where Genevieve Dunne's character occasionally appears, but most of the time remains in kind of like a mysterious secrecy. Then through an altercation through school, whereby Genevieve's character is bullied and Charlotte's character steps in, the two form an unlikely friendship, one that at first seems just perfectly friendly and well-natured. Then the obsession that Charlotte Beaumont's character had sort of becomes increasingly problematic for the relationship, and then there are external forces that seem kind of determined to drive a wedge too. The nature of this film is quite heavy and harrowing, but there's also some fantastic representation going on, especially having two female leads, both of whom are fantastic. The performance is very demanding. These are difficult characters to do well, and hats off to the performers for this, because it was completely believable. It was heavy in a way that felt it was drawing you in, and at no point did I feel they didn't do justice to the story trying to be told there, which was a difficult one. I think Fell-Holden delivers a film that's, by its nature harrowing, but also important. And I think that there's a dialogue going on with the kind of relevant themes and tone that he tries to achieve that's important for audiences. I think it's an important film to see. It definitely was one of my favourite films from the Raindance Film Festival, kind of just in general, not just from the shorts programme that I watched. It's British filmmaking, which is always great to see, especially we're from UK Film Review, so we like to see guys from our own land. But it's also a film that is universal in terms of audiences, because really what it's doing is presenting you with a story, but then challenging you with your perception. The whole thing is about perception. It's about how we think things are simply by the way they're presented to us. The characters aren't one-dimensional characters, and their stories are certainly not one-dimensional. There's a huge amount of tonal inference in terms of where they're trying to lead you, and the way that they do that is fantastic. But it's this idea of misleading someone using visuals and using anything really, because that's what they want you to think, and they know maybe how your thought process will go. So I think Toby Fell-Holden proves himself to be a really intelligent filmmaker here, because I, for one, was sucked into thinking this is the way the story is going to be told and this is where it's going to go, and it doesn't. Just to spoil it for you, by the way, this isn't about what happens in the story. It's about how you feel about the way that it develops, but also maybe how about what you brought to it, your own prejudices, your own kind of belief system, what you've been guided to think previously through the media or just through cultural kind of pop culture references. It's not something that audiences are all necessarily going to like, because it is challenging and it does force you to maybe look at yourself, in a kind of self-examination way about who you are and what you do to look at the world that you're presented with, and how much of it are you actually even bother to challenging. It's not something that we all do on a daily basis, but it's something that certainly through art like this you think about more. I certainly did for several days after seeing this film, that you think about how you've been shaped and how your ideas about people and the way they live their lives and what that means for you. It's a really powerful message to get out there, and I think that told through the eyes of two teenage girls who are also, there's a romantic kind of suggestion there, especially from Charlotte's character, becoming quite obsessed, and there's those themes to throw in there as well. So having this younger generation with younger attitudes, that okay, yeah, not only are they possibly more open to, you know, being more liberal, but they're also a victim of being shaped because they don't have maybe the experience to think to challenge them. You've got people growing up in this culture and in this society that are going to adopt those kind of values and those kind of stereotypes, which I think is a powerful thing to look at, because very often the youth aren't kind of even suggested as being prejudiced or racist or sexist or anything like that, but you see through this film that there are those ingrained feelings that come from growing up in an environment that maybe does look to different cultures or different groups as scapegoats, or as reasons that your life is not going so well, or for also just exclusive nature that sometimes comes with being part of a religion or being part of a cultural background. I think Balcony works fantastically as an urban piece of filmmaking because that's where you get that cross section of life. It wouldn't have worked really anywhere else, and I think that a London kind of council estate is the perfect place to get all walks of life, and you've also got the claustrophobia needed to create the intensity and the visceral almost kind of atmosphere that comes through, and Toby Fell-Holden really works well to create that and then to kind of capitalize on it, especially as the film moves towards the final third, by which point you're completely engrossed and you're really totally unaware of what has happened in terms of what you've been presented with, because it starts to unravel, and before you know it, everything you thought had happened just becomes challenged. But yeah, that's Balcony. I will see if we can put that up online somewhere. If not, I'll just direct you to the filmmaker, because it's worth following them, see what else they're going to do. But also, if you can catch a screening, a festival, or anywhere else. But yeah, that's Balcony. Check it out.